Is something wrong with Dan Campbell? Seriously, is something wrong with Dan Campbell? This man right here does not seem well in the slightest bit. The Detroit Lions lost in front of a national television audience to the Philadelphia Eagles. And it was probably Detroit's worst game of the season. As never, not for one moment, even if that pass interference at the end was called correctly, did you ever think that the Lions had a realistic shot at driving down the field and winning it? And part of why was because the man in charge, Dan Campbell, made some absolutely boneheaded decisions that completely derailed his team's chances at winning the game. But of all the ones he made, wouldn't it be nice if the Lions had an extra possession to work with? Wouldn't it be nice if the Lions could touch the ball just one more time and get some more points? Well, they had that chance. But then, this man decided to throw that chance out the window, because this was just baffling. Here's the situation. It's 2nd and 3, and the Eagles have the ball inside the red zone with about 1:15 left in the first half. Jalen Hurts fires a slant pass to A.J. Brown, the soft-spoken receiver who definitely has not been involved in any sort of drama lately and seems really happy with his usage as of late, getting the Eagles in a goal-to-go scenario. At this point, the Lions have 3 timeouts. There's a finite ending to the drive. You would think that the Lions, especially considering the fact that they're getting the ball to start the second half, would burn their timeouts here, right? You think that they want a chance to double dip and get some points before the halftime break, especially since the Eagles will inevitably score and will try to take some time off the clock if possible. This is one of those obvious spots where you take the timeout, no questions asked. And yet, Dan Campbell decides to do this.
To update the stats, that was the 8th target for Brown, 6 catches, 43 yards. All the conversation during the week, he's been targeted plenty in this first half.
Yep, he let the clock run. He freaking let the clock run all the way down. Those timeouts can't be carried over to the second half, Dan. You can't exchange them for a prize at Dave & Buster's. It'd sure be nice to have an extra possession, but nope. You gotta go ahead and do this.
And Hurts surfs over the top and is in for the touchdown.
That went exactly as I expected. Welcome to Dumb Decisions. Before I break down what happened here, this whole series is about taking an in-depth look at decisions made during games that were clearly awful from the start. This isn't something to look bad in hindsight. Rather, this is something to look awful almost immediately. These are moves where your gut instinct tells you right away that there is no way this can possibly work. And sure enough, your gut instinct was smarter than that of an NFL head coach. And for this one, we're taking a look at the mind of Detroit Lions head coach, Dan Campbell. I've said for a while now that when it comes to most things, Campbell is immune from this segment. He goes for it on 4th down or acts super aggressive. I can live with it. That's just his MO. You live with the aggression, you die with the aggression. There are times where it works, and there are times like Sunday night where it doesn't work. Campbell was super aggressive on 4th down during this game, partly because of the wind. I'm not going to criticize him, even though it didn't work out there. It happens. It's what he does. I can't have it both ways. But even if we take that aside and give him a pass for the failed 4th down tries where Jared Goff just looked like Jared Goof, and we give a pass for the fake punt that did not go anywhere, he doesn't get a pass for being stupid. You get a pass for being aggressive, but you don't get a pass for this. Especially seeing as this seemed to completely contradict everything you stand for. You had absolutely nothing to lose by calling timeout here. And for some reason, Campbell didn't recognize that. And Campbell's poor coaching in so many facets during this game, from this to his inability to get a 3rd and long play off before the 2-minute warning, thereby being able to use that as an extra timeout, to his bizarre decision to punt the ball near midfield with 5 minutes left down by 2 scores, was a big reason why they lost this one. But of all the decisions he made, this was the most egregious and the most indefensible. So with that being said, let's take a look at why not taking a timeout in a goal-to-go spot with under 2 minutes left in the half is a really bad idea. And before I go any further, I should note that I live stream all the primetime games on this channel. So I was live for this absolute train wreck of a game. And of course, I had some thoughts immediately after Dan Campbell decided to just let the clock run and go from there. Safe to say, they were not good thoughts. And just so that you know that this wasn't hindsight bias or anything along those lines, here's my real-time, live thoughts on that decision. Slam past the flash, caught. Brown at the 6, so you figure the Lions will take their first time out here. I would think. I don't know why you wouldn't. I'm hoping this is a clock malfunction. I would think you're taking a timeout here if you're Detroit. I would hope. They're not? Campbell, what are you doing? Campbell's not going to try and get extra possession. What? Why would you not? You have nothing to lose taking a timeout there. There are two options that you have here. Option one is to do what any smart coach would do in this spot and call a timeout, giving you 2 left. Let's say the Eagles score on the first play off the timeout. When you call the timeout, you've got 1:13 left. The Eagles take about 5 seconds off the clock to bring it down to 1:08. Now, you've got 2 timeouts left, as do the Eagles. What this means is that you're sort of in a no-risk situation here, barring a turnover. When you get the ball back, if you get Gibbs out in space and he breaks one free, fantastic. Now, you can steal a possession and double dip and get some points back. Remember, you scored a touchdown on the last drive on 2 explosive plays. So who's to say you can't get one here? If you run the ball and don't get anything, however, it's not that big of a deal. The Eagles can stop the clock twice at 1:03 and 58 seconds, or even later than that if you run the kickoff back and take off some time there. And on 3rd down, you can take 5 seconds off the play, plus 40 seconds off the play clock afterwards, which basically gives the Eagles no time left to do anything if they get it back. So if you get yards, great. And if not, no harm done. The same logic applies if the Eagles score on the 2nd play or on the 3rd play. If you call your timeouts properly, you'll still have plenty of time to get it back. So you're either getting a goal line stand or you're getting an extra possession, which sounds like a good deal to me. Now compare that to what this family you've been watching this entire time, Dan Campbell, decided to do here, and it's absolutely baffling. Why would you not call a timeout? Football is a game of possessions, and you had a chance to steal a possession in a close game, and you just decide not to take it, despite it coming at no risk to you? If you get the ball back, you don't even have to do anything with it if the plan isn't working out like you thought it would. Might as well just give yourself that chance, especially if you end up getting good field position. The Eagles are still going to be able to run the same number of plays since there's a finite ending to the drive here. The only difference is how many plays you can run to get into range, get some points, and double dip. And especially if it's at no risk to you, wouldn't you rather have more time and thus more plays available at your disposal? I mean, you tried to steal a possession on a fake punt in your own territory. You can steal a possession a pretty easy way here. Why wouldn't you take it? Especially in this win, wouldn't you rather have more opportunities to get closer and move the ball down the field? No risk, all reward. Sounds like a deal to me. Especially if the Eagles kick it off, and because of the win, it goes into the end zone for a touchback, and you get at the 35-yard line, you've got a shot to push it. However, if you don't call a timeout and let all of that time run off the clock, you've really got no shot to push it down the field. It's almost like taking a multiple choice test where you don't get penalized for a wrong answer and time isn't an issue on the test, as you have plenty of time to answer the question. You'd rather circle something than leave it blank. At least give yourself that opportunity. And Campbell, for some reason, going completely against his usual philosophy, didn't do that here. And I'd understand this if, let's say, the Eagles had no timeouts left at about half the time, because then there's a chance that the Eagles might not get all 4 plays off and could run out of time. And obviously, you don't want to play into their hands. But that wasn't the case. The Eagles would still have plenty of time to get all 4 of their plays off. So there was no good reason to let the clock run down here and just not do anything. But enough from me. Let's hear what Dan Campbell himself had to say about this decision, because it is a doozy, and you're not going to get any clarity whatsoever after listening to this.
Before the half, they got inside the 5 there. You had all 3 timeouts. Did you choose?
Right before halftime?
Right before halftime.
Yeah, I thought about it. You know, it was like, man, maybe I'll just go ahead and bang that right now. And but I knew we were getting it after halftime. And really what I did, I just kind of waited. I was going to wait until we hit about under a minute. And then at that point, I just kind of let it go. Like, all right, we'll get it back. So absolutely, I talked about it, thought about it. And I chose not to there. I chose not to. I said, you know, we'll take it in the third quarter. You know, we come out of halftime. And so, yeah, I did think about it.
This is just word salad. This is, I don't even know how to decipher this. What the heck did you say here? So you decided not to call a timeout when the Eagles got the first down because you knew you were getting the ball back in the second half? But you deferred to start the game. The whole point of deferring is so that you get a chance to double dip. I get that logic if you don't want to take a chance or make a risky play, but that's not what we're talking about here. I'm also not saying that you should be rigid in your strategy and inflexible, but you literally deferred so that you could set yourself up for a position like the one you got yourself in and decided to pass on it, even though it was at no harm or risk to you whatsoever. And then you waited? You waited to decide and took about 13 seconds off the clock before deciding what you wanted to do? This scenario never crossed your mind? The one thing about Campbell that I respect a ton and what's made him solid over the years is how decisive he is. He has an idea and he goes for it, no hesitation. But then to do this and just wait? This is the same coach? Calling timeout with a minute left would still be pretty stupid. Whether you decide to call with a minute left or let it run at that point, you're being dumb. You need to be decisive and call it right away. And he wasn't. And if Dan was talking about getting the ball back later in the half and thinking that's not a big deal, then you're wrong. Because the amount of plays you can run, the amount of chances you have to push the ball down the field differs dramatically with all your timeouts but 20 seconds to work with versus 2 timeouts and a minute. Then again, I don't know what he was talking about here, because this was just a stream of words that didn't make any sense, especially considering what we know about Dan Campbell, or at least what I thought we knew when it came to how he processed the game and looked at things. I just don't understand what's gone wrong for this man right here. I just don't. His whole mantra is to be aggressive and decisive. And he had a chance to be aggressive and decisive in a smart manner here, and just decided not to take it. You can be aggressive by getting another possession while also not risking anything. But nope, let's let the clock run out and not give ourselves a chance to get momentum and do something. Despite the fact that we scored on the last drive, despite the fact that we've got a darn good running back in Jahmyr Gibbs, despite the fact that our kicker's got a strong leg, and despite the fact that the Eagles have an elite defense and we need all the opportunities and possessions that we can get on this team. You can be decisive by calling the timeout right away, but nope, let's hesitate and think about it, and then by the time the play clock is halfway down, think it's a lost cause and think it's too late and just not do anything. Again, I can live with a lot of the stuff that Campbell does in terms of going for it. But when you go against your mantra and do something that not even the most conservative coach in football would do at a time where it makes no sense, you lose me. Campbell's been a bit shaky with in-game management skills this season, and it's the reason why the Lions are in the spot that they are in compared to the past few seasons, where this season they look extremely vulnerable. So what did we learn from all of this? Don't lose possessions when you don't have to. If you have a chance to get a possession, especially against a defense where points are hard to come by, and especially in a spot where you don't have to give the ball back and risk being down even further if the situation does not go according to plan, then you should take that possession. If you have an aggressive mantra that puts faith in the offense, then you should probably continue to do that, especially if it comes at no cost to you whatsoever. If you're aggressive in spots where you should be conservative, but conservative in spots where you should be aggressive, then you should reevaluate your entire strategy. If you don't know how to manage timeouts properly, don't know how to manage a clock, don't know how to evaluate the risk to reward of certain situations, and you don't know how to act decisively and make decisions quickly, then you're failing at things that are really important for being a head coach in this league. And you're also setting yourself up for failure against most teams in football, let alone a team that is the defending champion off to a great start on their home field. Because when all these elements are in play, you can't exactly be surprised when this play backfires. Talk about a dumb decision. Check out our live streaming schedule for the next few days. We're live every single day on this channel, whether we're covering a sporting event or playing GeoGuessr or just taking your requests. So make sure you like and subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss a single time that we go live and so that you can join this community. Also, thanks to all our members and our Patreon supporters who get exclusive perks like their name at the end of each video, members-only Q&A streams, and cool emojis to use on videos and during streams. See how you can join this community and become a member or a Patreon member by clicking the link in the description below.